Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is story time. So today's video, we're going to be talking about approval in relationships. So what happens when your friends, family, loved ones don't support or approve of your relationship? Does that matter to you? Is that a deal breaker for you? Should you even have to choose between the two? Should you have to choose between your loved ones or your significant other? So today I'm going to be sharing a story about a huge loss in my life when I got married. Let's get into the video.
The Bonics on the rise. The Bonics are up on your TV. Turn up the volume and put it in a 3D. Gather round, can you see me? Come make we have a good time and be free. Sing it again. The Bonics are up on your TV. Turn up the volume and put it in a 3D. Gather round, can you see me? Come make we have a good time and be free. Me talk about everything where you go on, from personal life to politician. Full enjoyment, that we plan. We have to talk about food as a Jamaican, The Bonics on the rise. The Bonics are up on your TV. Turn up the volume and put it in a 3D. Gather round, can you see me? But if we have a good time and be free.
Hey family, welcome back to the Bonics channel. I am Tanya, one half of the Bonics, and my husband is not here. He's actually at a soccer tournament this weekend, and so I thought it would be the perfect time to really just kind of sit down and do a video, have a conversation about something that happened to me in my life when I got married. And I really wanted to do this video because I try to be transparent on our channel, and many of you have even mentioned in the comments that when you chose your significant other, that your family or your loved ones didn't support you. And I wanted to just kind of share a story about something that happened to me and really just kind of how it affected me. And before we get into the video, if this is your first time joining us, thank you for watching. If you will, please watch a couple of our videos. And if you like what you see, come back, hit the subscribe button and become a part of our family. And if you are a returning viewer, as always, we thank you, we appreciate you. And if you will, hit the like button. So, as I mentioned, it's story time, and I wanted to share a story about a huge loss in my life when I got married. So I'll start by giving you guys some background information so that you can have some context of how much of a loss this was for me. I lost my very best friend when I got married. That's the gist of it. I lost my very best friend. This was someone that I was extremely close to, my very best girlfriend that I shared absolutely everything with. We had known each other for well over 15 years, and she did not approve of my relationship with this younger guy, and it ended our friendship. So when I was traveling back and forth to Jamaica every couple of weeks, you know, my real goal was that I wanted to get like an Airbnb and maybe rent it out, because I really loved the Airbnb that we had stayed in on the original trip. And unbeknownst to me, like, you think because somebody is from somewhere that they know all of the ins and outs and they're familiar with every part of, you know, that place or that country, that city or whatever. And so I was just kind of like, Kimar is somebody that can really show me around. And, you know, he just kind of be like my own personal tour guide. And so once I kind of started sharing that I was going, you know, back and forth to Jamaica, I'm looking for a place over there, people would say, you know, when you go back to Jamaica, I want to go. So, of course, this friend, she said that she wanted to go. But first of all, let me just kind of explain like how close we were. This was my very best friend, not one of. This is the person that I shared absolutely everything with. As I said, we were friends for well over 15 years. We talked every single day of the week. Every single day of the week. She didn't live here in Charlotte. She lived somewhere else, and we talked every day. We didn't talk every day. I would say that we talked at least, at a minimum, 5 days out of the week, and we talked 2 to 3 hours each time. So that just kind of gives you some context of how close we were and how much we shared, that we would even talk every day and for that amount of time. And I think like when I first shared with her that I had met this person and that I'm really, you know, kind of feeling him, I'm starting to really like him, I think maybe she thought I was going through like a midlife crisis. And I thought I was too. I mean, like this was a total shock to me. Like it just hit me out of nowhere. And so I think she thought I was going through a midlife crisis. And so we would kind of, in the beginning, we would talk and we would laugh about certain things. And I could share things with her. But as it started to get a little bit more serious, and then we had this trip planned to Jamaica that we were going to go. She was going to come to Jamaica, and it started out as a couple's trip. She had her boyfriend, and he was going to come as well. And so we were planning this trip, and it was a couple's trip, and I was like, it's cool because, you know, in my eyes, I'm looking at this as this is my very best friend. And sometimes, you know, when you are in a situation, you don't see it as other people do. And so sometimes that person can really kind of give you a little bit different insight or view on the situation. So that's really kind of how I was looking at it. I was like, this is my very best friend, and I know that she wants the best for me, and I know that she's going to be honest, and she's the type of person where she will be brutally honest. Didn't care if she hurt your feelings, because this is the truth. This is how I feel, and I love you, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And I wanted that truth. So I wanted her to really just kind of meet him, meet his family, his mom, because I was smitten. I was smitten, and I was really just head over heels. And I have told you guys before that when I met his mom, that really kind of sealed the deal for me. But at the same time, I had heard, you know, when you meet these people out of, you know, the country and another country, their families are in on it as well. So I wasn't really like blind or oblivious to that. And I was like, this is my best friend. I really want her take on this. You know, maybe she can say, yeah, he's a really good guy, or no, I don't think you should do that. So, and it wasn't that I was seeking like validation or approval from her, but like I said, you know, it's just as simple as sometimes people can see things that you can't see when you're in it because they're looking at it from the outside. And so when she said she wanted to go to Jamaica, it ended up being, it was supposed to be a couple's trip with her and her boyfriend. And then I was like, cool, you know, we could hang out. He could show us around and really just kind of be our own personal tour guide, take us to, you know, a lot of the tourist spots, and we could just really kind of have a good time. So we planned this whole week that we were going to spend together. And in the end, her boyfriend wasn't able to go. And so that kind of threw like a wrench in the trip, so to speak. And so we still went on the trip. She came, and even though there was a change in the plans and he couldn't go, it was still my plan to really just kind of hang out with her as well as spend time with Kimar. Kimar could still show us around and show us a good time. But things didn't turn out that way. When we got to Jamaica, it was a whole 360. When I introduced her to Kimar, from the moment that she met him, she was rude, she was disrespectful, because I think she was looking down on him, that he was younger and he was from Jamaica. She mentioned several times, like later on, you know, after the fact, that he's from this poor country. And look, y'all, don't come for me. I know Jamaica is not a poor country. Jamaica is like any other country where you have the have and the have-nots. You have people who have money. You have people who don't have money. I'm well aware of that about that beautiful country. So I just want to make it known that I do not think that all of Jamaica is poor. I have seen some poor parts. I have also seen some of the richer parts. So but that was one of the things that she said, like, he's from this poor country, he's a young guy, he's, you know, a tour guide, you know, he doesn't have any money, like, you have your master's degree, all of the things really that my mom was thinking when she found out, you know, that I met this person, right? When she met Kimar, things did not go as though I had hoped they would go. So I don't even know if she spoke to him. I think she did speak to him, but it was more so like looking down like, oh, hey. And that was it. And we didn't really do anything together. We only did one activity together the whole time we were there. And that was when we went to Bob Marley's birthplace. We went to 9 Mile. And I think she really just went because she really wanted to see 9 Mile, but she really didn't want to go with us. She really did not even want to be around Kemar. You know, in her mind, it was like, I don't have anything in common with this person, and I don't want to even be around him. And I was really taken aback by her behavior because over the course of our friendship, you know, of course we shared many things, and there were, you know, things that she had done or people that she had dated that I didn't agree with, but I never acted like that. I never, even the person that was going to come to Jamaica with her, you know, I didn't agree with her relationship with him. It was kind of the same thing. You know, where I thought like, you know, you have your degrees, you have your high paying government job, you know, you have, you know, a little bit of money in the bank or whatever, you know what I mean? And I was just like, this guy is really like beneath you, but I still supported the relationship because that was her relationship. And I was even wondering or even kind of just thinking like, if you were so adamant about this situation and you're so against it, why even go to Jamaica with me, knowing that this is the reason ultimately why I'm going to Jamaica? Like, yes, we're going to Jamaica and we're going on vacation. We're going to sightsee, do some tourist stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm getting to know this person. And this is really the reason why I am going to Jamaica and you wanted to come along. And I'm trusting you as my friend to kind of give me an honest opinion. And she gave her honest opinion. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that she could give an unbiased opinion. She was speaking solely from, you know, her emotions and her feelings, and she wasn't really able to just kind of be level-headed and say, this is the reason why, or maybe she was, I don't know. But it was just a lot of anger and emotion in her opinion, and it was, you know, this is my honest opinion, this is how I feel about it. But I don't think it was, you know, an unbiased opinion. I don't think she could come and say, okay, aside from the fact that he's younger than you, he's from Jamaica, you have your degrees, you know, this person I really feel like is beneath you. I don't think this is a good fit. I don't think he's genuine. I don't think, you know, I think he's just looking for an opportunity or whatever. You know, she was just kind of like, well, he's just going along to get along because, you know, he's in a poor country. So, yeah, he wants to be on the come up. And why would you even go to Jamaica with me if you already knew, like, this is something that you disagreed with? But anyway, we didn't even leave Jamaica together at the end of the trip. We were supposed to fly to Miami, and then we were going to have dinner at the airport in Miami, and then she would take her flight to go back to, you know, her home, and I would take my flight to go back to my home. And I ended up missing my flight because I forgot to check in online. I typically check in online, and of course you have to be checked in a certain amount of time, or, you know, before the plane leaves, or they won't even let you board the flight. And so I forgot to check in, and I wasn't able to board my flight. And so, so she left, and I stayed there another 2 days. And so that was really the beginning of the demise of our friendship. And although our friendship lingered on a little bit longer, and I say linger because it just wasn't the same, that was really the beginning of the demise of the friendship. So when I first came back, I didn't even contact her, and she messaged me a few days later on Facebook and said, you could have let me know that you came back. And I was just kind of like, you could have let me know that you made it back. And so really, you know, the dynamics of the friendship had already changed at this point. I was really just kind of disgusted at the way she had treated him. And this actually was the trip where Kemar had proposed to me. And so even when I showed her the ring, and I was excited because this is my friend, I'm sharing like this happy moment in my life, and she wasn't even like happy for me. It was just kind of like, oh, you know. And so when I came back, we tried to have a couple of conversations about it, and we could not talk about Jamaica at all. Like, the conversation would always go left, and really just started kind of getting, like, you know, disrespectful. She was saying things, I was saying things, and they were very hurtful, you know, for both of us. So when I came back from Jamaica, I was really just kind of angry. I didn't even really want to talk to her, and whenever we did try to talk, it would just become like a shouting match, a screaming match at each other with no resolution in sight. So I had really just like unfriended her from Facebook. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to share this part of my life, because she was still like, we could still be friends, but you know, I just don't want to hear about him. And to me, this was a huge part of my life, because by now, you know, I'm engaged and planning to marry this person, and of course I want to share this part of my life with my best friend. And it was very different. It was very different, and it was very difficult, because I didn't even really know how to like process these feelings, because on one hand, I'm happy, I'm in love, I'm, you know, getting married, and on the other hand, this is something that I can't even share with my best friend. So I had unfriended her on Facebook when I came back, but she was still friends with like my family, and somehow, you know, we were still talking, and I ended up adding her back on Facebook, and that's when she saw that I had got married. So by now we're well into the next year, and we had like the public wedding in the grill, and so she saw that I had got married, and she said, oh, I didn't know you had got married. She was like, you didn't even tell me, and I would have come, I would have supported you. And that was surprising to me, because I'm like, well, the way you acted towards him, the way you acted about me being in this relationship, you didn't even want to hear about him. We couldn't even share or talk about this part of my life. And she said, well, you know what, that's different, because he's your husband now. So I was like, okay, we can get back kind of on the path to mending our friendship. But boy, was I wrong, because whenever I tried to even share that part of my life, it was just like, I don't approve of that, and I don't want to hear about that. We will not be talking about Jamaica. So so at that point, I just kind of knew, like, okay, things have changed. And I remember our last conversation, and it was very emotional. Our last conversation, the very last time we spoke, was very emotional. Both of us were crying, and it was just like, I didn't know that you felt this way, and I really don't understand why you feel this way, because this is my life. Even though I understand if you don't agree with something, you can still, I feel like you can still support something even though you don't agree with it. So what do you guys think? Is there ever a time where you should not support a family member or a friend in something that they're doing? Is there ever a time? I don't know. I would probably say, like, I would never say never. So I would probably say yes, there may be some exceptions, such as, you know, if it's something that maybe goes against your religious beliefs, or if there's some type of like violence or physical abuse involved, that might be something that would be hard for me to support. And I don't even know. I mean, you know, maybe my friend or ex-friend was valid in, you know, her response or reaction. I mean, she's entitled to feel the way she felt, but I also think, you know, that there's a certain way to handle situations as well. And I've been watching Sisters. I've been binge watching Sisters, which is a Tyler Perry show on BET Plus, and it's about 4 black women who are really close friends, and just kind of like their trials and tribulations of life with men in relationships. And so one of the ladies on the show, Andy, is involved with a guy, and her friends do not like him. And so he set up this surprise wedding. He proposed to her, and he set up this surprise wedding in the disguise of a photo shoot. So basically, he had a friend set up a photo shoot saying that he needed a model. He wanted Andy to model, and she was in a wedding dress. He invited all of her friends, and they had on bridesmaids gowns, and it was a surprise wedding. And so they all got here to this shoot, and they're like, wait a minute, this is a surprise wedding. In walks Gary, who is the guy that the friends don't like, and basically he says, like, I want to get married like right now. And so it's kind of like a big discussion about it. And in the end, Andy says, like, yes, I do want to go through with this. I do want to marry him like right now. And her friend Karen, who is very kind of like vocal and honest about, you know, things that she doesn't disagree with, and she's very vocal about Gary. She's very nasty to Gary. And in the end, she's just like, I'm not going to watch you do this. I'm not going to watch you throw your life away. I'm not going to stand by. I'm not going to participate in this. And she throws down the shoes, takes off the dress, goes out. She says some harsh words to Gary, and she walks out. And Andy is like, did Karen really leave? And they're like, yes, she left. And Andy is just crying. And I kind of felt that in that moment, because that was really just like a mirror of my situation. And I felt like Karen was wrong, because at the end of the day, this is who Andy is choosing. And you can choose to disagree with it, but you can still support that person. And the reason why I say that is because even in my situation, you know, when my friend did find out that I got married, I think it made her feel some kind of way. And she was just like, I, you know, would have still supported you. I would have come to Jamaica. And really, I only invited one friend, which was a childhood friend that I had. And, you know, this friend, who was my closest friend, I didn't, you know, invite, because of course she didn't agree with it. And she didn't even really know that I was getting married or had gotten married. And so she was like, I would have came, I would have supported you, you know, at this point, this is your husband. And so I kind of feel like you missed out on this opportunity. So let's just say you disagree with this situation, but you're able to move past it. Now, this is a huge opportunity or event, life-changing event in my life that you missed out on, that I really would have wanted you to share in. So I think sometimes we have to be careful about the choices that, you know, we make out of anger, if that makes sense. I hope that that makes sense, because this was something that she really missed out on. Even though, you know, later on down the line, there was just some more conversation, and which was contradictory to what she had just said. Like, I would have been there, I would have supported you, and so forth. But it was very emotional. And her version of things that took place when we were in Jamaica were, you know, different from my version of things. Even in that last conversation that we had, and her reasoning for the friendship not being the same or changing, or her not supporting, even her reasoning had changed over the course of the years. So in the beginning, you know, it was, I don't agree with this. You know, he's from a poor country. He doesn't have any money. You're like, basically, he's beneath you. To after I got married and she found out that I got married, that, you know, I would have supported you. He's your husband now. Now we're back to, you left me in Jamaica. And let me just kind of give you guys like an overview of the last day that we were in Jamaica. So I had a rental car, and we were going to drive to the airport and, of course, catch our flight to Miami, have dinner, and then go our separate ways. But that morning when we were getting up to leave, she left out of the Airbnb. She didn't even say anything. She left out. She left the door wide open. You know, I'm in the room. I'm getting my stuff together. Kimar is there. He's going to go to the airport with me. And she just left out. She left the door wide open. I came out of the room and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she already went downstairs. So I get my stuff, go downstairs, and she was talking to a taxi driver. She was talking to a taxi driver and looked like she was putting her stuff into a taxi and catching a taxi back to the airport. And I was like, wow, okay. So she's not even going to say goodbye. Like, this is what it has come to. But still, you know, not thinking that my friendship is ending. I'm just like, we'll talk, you know, when we get back home. So So Kimar and I got in the car and we left and we went to the airport. And then, of course, I forgot to check in and couldn't catch my flight. But I know that I did not leave her in Jamaica. So when we had the last conversation, she said, you know why our friendship changed and why our friendship will never be the same is because you left me in Jamaica for this young guy, for some young dick. You left me, excuse my language, you left me in Jamaica in this poor country. Now, you're saying I left you in this poor country, but during this whole week, you were catching taxis by yourself. Even Kimar's mom was like, that's kind of dangerous. Like, she shouldn't really be going out just catching taxis by herself. Like, Jamaica can be dangerous. But during this whole week, you were out sightseeing by yourself, you know, doing various things. But now, all of a sudden, I left you in this poor country where you don't know anybody and it was dangerous and blah, blah, blah. And I know that was not the case because I'm the type of person, I don't care what kind of disagreement we have or how mad I am at you. We came to Jamaica together. We're going to leave Jamaica together. So I was not so mad at her that I could not talk to her. She wasn't talking to me for the whole week. She wasn't talking to Kimar. She was, you know, didn't want to have anything to do with him. And I'm not that type of person where I'm going to leave you. We came here together. Whatever disagreement we had, we're going to still leave together. And we're mature and we're friends. We're best friends. And we've been friends for so long that this is something that is going to pass over. We're going to have a conversation. Maybe you will still disagree with it and I won't be able to share this part of my life. But we're going to get past this. And I know that I did not leave her in Jamaica, you know. And this is where I say, you know, our versions differ because maybe that was her take on it, that you were going to leave me, so I had to catch a taxi to the airport. But when I came out of the Airbnb, she was putting her things into a taxi. So I was like, oh, okay. And we just couldn't even come to agreement on that. And it was just kind of like, the friendship is not the same. And, you know, she was like, we will never be friends again like we were. And that was the last time that I spoke to her. And so in that, that was very, if I had a word to really kind of describe like how I felt, hurt doesn't even really begin to describe the feelings. I would probably say painful, because this was somebody that I talked to every day. This is my very best friend. And now this person is no longer a part of my life. And I don't have that outlet. I don't have this person that I could share this part of my life with. And I didn't have anybody else that was as close as she and I was. And so that was very difficult for me to even process. It was almost like, there were like several days, even probably for months, you know, that I cried because I felt like I was mourning or I was grieving like a death or like a breakup, so to speak. And it was really difficult. It was really hard for me to even process that. Number one, I've lost my best friend. Number two, I've lost my best friend because of who I chose to marry. And number three, that this person didn't support it because, like I said, you know, she had dated people that I didn't really agree that she should be dating them, but I supported it because that was her relationship. And so, so in that, we haven't spoken since. And I don't know how she's doing. And, you know, at this point, you know, I'm over it, even though, you know, it took me a while to get over it and to just really kind of process what happened. And it really kind of made me have like a distrust for people. I can really even kind of say like that was the beginning of me even kind of like retreating back into a shell and not even wanting to be close to anybody again. So some of you have even mentioned that, you know, your family didn't support your relationship, or you're maybe even afraid to share or introduce your significant other to your family because of the fear of the backlash. And I understand that. I totally understand it. And it's not a good feeling, but thankfully I had like my family support. So my family loves Kimar, and he loves my family, and his family loves me, and I love his family. And I think that if we had not had the support of our family, like it would have been even more extremely difficult. I don't even know if we would still be together, even though, you know, you think in your relationship, like, this is my relationship, this is who I'm choosing, and, you know, my family or my friends or my loved ones don't even really have like a say-so in that. I think that it can affect your relationship, and I think that it probably would have if we didn't have the support and love from our families. But losing that friend was very, very hard. And if I have to say, you know, like, the reasons behind the friendship coming to an end, and these are just my feelings, my opinions on it. I would probably say, from her standpoint, I don't know if it was jealousy, but I feel like maybe she felt like something was being taken away from her, or something was coming in between what we had. I don't know that to be the case, but that would kind of be like my guess or my take on it. I try to put myself in her shoes and imagine how she felt, because I had dated other people before that maybe she didn't approve of, but it had never gotten like, I mean, this fallout was downright nasty. And even though I had dated people before that she didn't approve of, it had never gotten to this point. And so I have to kind of like ask myself and wonder, was it really just about his age? Was it really just about him being from another country? Or was it something else? Was it something bigger or deeper? And I would have to say that I think it was. I think that there was a little bit of jealousy, and maybe, like I said, just her feeling like something was being, you know, taken away from her, or our dynamics were going to be different now that I had this serious person in my life. And like I said, I don't know that to be the case. I haven't spoken to her since that last conversation that we had, and it was tough in the beginning, but I can say now that I don't even think about the friendship anymore. I mean, it's been a couple of years, and people say, you know, time heals all things, and I can say that I actually agree with that. I can say, from my standpoint, like, even if we were to somehow reconnect, I could never be friends with her again. Not even on even just a lower level of friendship, such as associates, because there's a lack of trust that would be there. I would be leery about things that I could share with her, and that's kind of sad, you know, because that's not a good foundation for a friendship. But I want to hear from you guys. You know, you guys have mentioned that, you know, your family doesn't support you, and how does that make you feel? How do you handle that? You know, if you have gone through like a similar situation, what advice do you have for people who are going through that? Because even at the time, I wish that I had somebody that I could have even confided in about this friendship. Like, she was the only person that I talked to about everything, so I didn't even really have another person that I could go to talk about what I was going through with her. You know, and at the time, you know, Kimar is like becoming my best friend, but I didn't even feel like he understood the magnitude of how this affected me, because it was a huge loss in my life. And I don't think, you know, Kimar is the type of person where he'll say, like, I don't care what people think. And he didn't like the way she treated him, so he didn't really care for her either. And but I don't think he really understood like the magnitude. Some of it, I think, too, is, you know, people have like a lack of respect when it comes to boundaries. People don't know how to respect boundaries. So I feel like you can agree to disagree with somebody, and you can be respectful about it. You don't have to be nasty or rude or disgruntled or whatever, you know, like, you can respectfully disagree with somebody. And in this day and age, people don't have boundaries. I mean, I see it all the time, even in the comments, you know, when we post videos, and you have like these internet bullies, you know, people just don't know how to respect boundaries. And I think that was a lot of her issue too, because she has a strong personality, and she kind of feels like, I'm gonna say whatever's on my mind. And for the most part, I respected that. I valued her opinion, And so it was a huge loss for me, and I really haven't even become close to anyone else like that. I mean, I still have my circle of friends. You have certain people that you share certain things with, but there was no one like her before. She was my best friend, and there hasn't been anyone since. And I don't even really know that if I want a closeness like that with anybody else ever again. But I want to kind of hear from you guys and hear, about your situations. And if you've even been in a situation like this, like, what advice do you have for people? I know it's easier said than done to just say, forget your family, forget your friends, but at the end of the day, your happiness does matter, and even in my case with Kimar, like, I didn't know if we were going to make it. I didn't know how long we were going to last. I still don't know how long we're going to last, I mean, I hope that it's forever. I don't know anybody that gets married to say, oh, this ain't going to last, So, what if we were to break up? Did I miss out on something over here because I chose this person? There's a lot of questions with that, but I still just wanted to kind of share, this story with you guys, because I try to be transparent. I try to be relatable to you guys, because I know that there's a lot that I have in common with some of you. And this is really just like more common than you would think. I mean, people fall out all the time over relationships because friends and family don't support the relationship. And you either lose those friends or those families, or you lose that relationship. And it's hard. Like, should you have to choose either one? I don't think so. I think that you can have your relationship and you can have your friends and family, and you just have to have a boundary down the middle. You have to set those boundaries for yourself. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please drop your comments below. I want to hear from you guys. And don't forget to like the video, drop a comment, share the Bonics content, and hit the subscribe button. And we will see you guys on the next video. Peace out.